What's going on, guys? I'm SimpleSimon. I'm your comic book noob. Welcome to the NOOB Rebirth. Today is a Star Wars guy episode. So let me bring on my co-host. Say hi, Mandalorian.
This is the way.
Say hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Today, we're going to be talking about Mandalorian, some Star Wars stuff, and whether or not Mando is still good.
Mando is still good.
We'll get into it. Let's do this. You're Mandalorian no more.
Oh, maybe I could bathe in the river of Mandalore.
So you finally watched Mando?
Yeah.
The thing, I guess, because I was watching it week by week, and it was kind of sad.
Hang on, I've always wanted to do this. To be or not to be? This is the question.
So I was watching it week by week. It was kind of sad when it stopped, but one thing I noticed from a lot of people were really not enjoying it. A lot of people were saying, oh, I guess I'm going to be cancelling my Disney subscription and things like that. It was very
drama queen.
So I definitely had thoughts on certain episodes. So overall, I enjoyed it. I think I just enjoy this universe that the story set in. So they can do anything, and I'm kind of going to enjoy it. But there were definitely some
a bit of a droid moment there.
Was it?
Yeah. All right, Simon enjoyed you're a really Star Wars guy. So if you were a droid, what would be your assigned number?
9. I'd be like SS9.
SS. Why SS?
SimpleSimon 9. What would you be?
I don't know. I'd rather be an R2 unit.
Okay.
Because they can do a lot more than just be annoying.
I'll just be annoying. So, what do you think of the show, man? Did you like it? Did you just like it? Were there things you didn't like?
I loved it for the larger story. Of course, people are going to say, oh, because they had it was a massive benchmark they did with season 1, but they're never going to top that. But the only thing they can do, I think, was to keep going, with the story. If the characters did not grow, or they were stale, or they did the same thing over and over, people were complaining about that.
I was actually surprised. Even from the very first episode, a lot of people were like, they weren't hating it, but they were like, nah, they weren't sure about it. And I was like, really? I kind of enjoyed the first episode. Second episode was fantastic when they go into the cave. And some people hated it, but I thought episode 2 was one of my favorite Mando episodes ever. The weird thing was, he goes into the cave, and you see Mando struggles. Like, he struggles to get by when he goes down to the cave. And then Bo-Katan, it's almost like they replay the movie, but with Bo-Katan doing it, and she just kicks ass the whole way through. So it was a little bit of an insult to Mando. Like, it made him look a little bit weak. So after episode 2, I was so pumped to watch episode 3. And then episode 3 was what it was. And I was like, what? And they never really touched on the Mythosaur again. I mean, they talked about it, but I definitely thought the Mythosaur was going to come into play at some point in the season, and it never did.
That episode that you were talking about, I think it was the Bo-Katan thing was more of a plot point. And same with the Mythosaur. Was it what's that? Mythosaur, right? It was a plot point. I mean, it's completely different situations, right? So Mando gets surprised and captured, whereas Bo-Katan knows what she's going into, right? So she's got more planning in her head. So that's two different scenarios, and you can't really compare. Again, that was used as a plot point, and which comes to play later, right? Later down the track with the saber. I think that was the only way they could pass on the saber without them two killing each other. The whole Grogu thing, and I loved. He's seeing him more use the Force, them as a in the last episode where you see them fighting together.
Yeah, he likes to jump a lot now.
Yeah, he's small. Well, he's tiny.
It just looks so funny.
Yeah, but if you remember episode 2, what did Yoda do when he was fighting with his lightsaber?
Oh, he just bounced around the walls.
That's right. So it's again for Favreau and Filoni, mate. They remember these things. I just loved that they now they're a partnership, and they're gonna go forward together, not just don't touch that, don't do that.
What about?
I love I know.
What about what? Din Grogu?
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, firstly,
Din Grogu.
I was like, wait, Din's not his first name. Din Djarin? Din Grogu? I was like, what?
So what do you think of the IG-11?
That was fun. But yeah, I liked how, because it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I thought they were just going to bring him back. And that would have been cool too, but I guess that's very predictable or standard. For them to turn it into like almost like a remote control vehicle for Grogu was kind of fun. The no. That was fun. What was the thing you mentioned? Like
The plot hole?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't really take notice of it at first, but then someone pointed it out to me. So when they go back to the planet as a combined unit,
That's right. Yes.
all the Mandalorians, they go back to Mandalore as a group, and then they meet up with these other guys in sort of like a boat. And then later on, you find out that there's a base underground that Moff Gideon has been putting together with dark troopers and stuff. Now those guys in the boat, they said that they've been here from the beginning, or from the end of Mandalore. They've been here ever since. How could they not know that there's a base being built on their planet when they've been on one end of the planet to the other? But that's probably the only thing that I can think of.
So I think it was episode 6, the one with Jack Black in it.
Yeah.
That was a really odd episode for me. So I was watching it, and it felt very corny in some sense when the Jack Black scenes, but also that episode in general. I was watching it because he has to go. They have to go find that. They have to find the droid. And he's kicking all the droids to find out which one's malfunctioning. That whole episode, I was watching it like this doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. It felt like a sci-fi, obviously, but it just didn't have a Star Wars. It was very different from anything I'd ever seen in previous Star Wars.
And not only you had Jack Black and what's her name?
I don't know the lady, Lizzie or something. Is that her name?
Yeah. She's a singer.
Yeah, it was very filler, obviously. And that was the one with Christopher Lloyd in it as well. And even that, I was like, I felt very Scooby-Doo-ish when they're like, it was him all along.
What I hated about that episode was the fact that they had to go to Jack Black and Lizzie, or Lizzo.
Lizzo, yeah, you're right. Yes.
Lizzo, sorry, we're old. We don't listen to new music. Not that her music is good, I've listened to Lizzo, she's awesome. But I don't understand why they had to go to Jack Black character and Lizzo's character to ask permission to speak to the Mandalorians. I don't get that. I don't understand. Maybe I'll have to watch the episode again.
I think a big criticism of the episode was, for a show that's only got 8 episodes, you cannot afford to have filler episodes in an 8-episode season.
To me, it felt like a
It was definitely filler, yeah.
Right, to me, it felt like a filler. When you say it wasn't very Star Wars, I can see what you're saying, but to me, it was very Star Wars. Especially when you look at the episode, especially Phantom Menace.
The more I explore the Star Wars universe, the more I'm understanding that it is so much, it's so massive and there are so many different things. So what I mean by that is, because I'm an original trilogy guy, that's all I kind of knew for the last 40 years until I got into Star Wars again. To me, Star Wars always had that backdrop of like an apocalyptic sort of desert sort of look. So, and because I didn't watch like the first 3, episode 1, 2, 3, till way later in life, when I watched that even, I was like, this doesn't look like Star Wars. This looks like Fifth Element, because they're in the city, there's lights, everything's all nice and new. And that's the same with that episode. It felt very cyberpunk-ish. But then I'm playing like the Jedi Survivor game at the moment, and he's walking through areas and I'm like, oh, this looks very cyberpunk too. So now I'm starting to understand. And even this episode of Mando really introduced you to a lot of new species. And again, ones that I've never seen before in Star Wars. It started to feel like Star Trek to me, if anything.
Take that back. Take that back.
Hey, you asked my brother.
Have you seen Star Trek?
Not really.
Well, then how can you make that opinion, mate?
To fucking ruffle feathers.
Take it back.
Fine, I'll take it back. It reminded me more of like just a lot of those sci-fi shows where there's all kinds of different looking creatures and stuff, which Star Wars always had, I think, but just I've never seen it in a live action format. One of the epic moments was the death of Paz Vizsla. Because I didn't really like that character. I kind of thought he was a bit of a dick for most of the show, and then he kind of went out like a champion. So I did read that season 4 is definitely happening.
Yes.
Definitely doing that. But then there's going to be the movie, which is set in the whole Mando universe that these shows are in. So what would you, I guess, want to see in that, man? Is that exciting?
It is exciting. I think you'll see a lot more, maybe Luke. Maybe we'll see a Luke.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see back at Luke.
Hashtag Luke guy.
Definitely see more of Mandalore. I reckon, and with their progression of how it's going, the rebuild of Mandalore, and maybe a bit more of the Senate, having a Mandalore having a Mandalore representation there now, stuff like that, you know. And I think we're going to see everyone suspected that Boba Fett was going to be in Mandalore season 3. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Spoiler. You know, the name drop on Mandalorian season 3, that episode when they talk about Thrawn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they name dropped him.
Yeah.
So that's as we know from an episode in season 2 when Ahsoka, the Ahsoka episode when she's looking for Thrawn and she's looking for Ezra. So that name dropped in season 3 of Thrawn. We know that he's coming.
Well, they've already shown him in Ahsoka.
What, not fit photos?
The trailer, yeah.
Yeah, trailer, yeah. There you go. So,
and I've only just started watching, I've been watching Rebels for the last sort of month or so.
I don't watch trailers. So.
Really,
Very rarely do I do.
I'm right up into the Star Wars Rebels thing now, so I'm only
very good,
halfway through the second season, but really enjoying the characters in it.
It gets better and better. It gets more adult orientated, more deeper.
And I guess the other Star Wars stuff, I mean, what are you more excited about? Obviously, you've got the Mandalorian movie thing happening. You've got is it a new trilogy with Rey? About Rey?
Yeah,
and I think trying to rebuild the Jedi
I don't think
Temple.
It's a trilogy. I think it's a
one-off. Okay, and then there's also the movie about the first ever Jedi. Which one of those three gets you hardest?
First ever Jedi, I suppose. Yeah, that would be good. That would be something that you would read in a comic book, actually.
And I don't think they've ever touched on it either.
No. Oh, they have.
I'm sure they've talked about it.
No, they have. In the Dark Horse. There was a Dark Horse series.
Oh, really?
And it was about like how the Jedi were formed. They came in order.
Okay, but it didn't mention the first Jedi, right? I'm guessing it's the person who discovered the Force.
Oh, I can't remember. I know I've got it somewhere locked away in my collection, but I can't remember. I remember reading it. I just can't remember it. And it's forgettable. Yeah, it was I think a four or 5 issue series. If anyone remembers what it's called, put it in the comments.
Well, it is just an exciting time to be a Star Wars guy.
Absolutely. With people like Filoni and Favreau, on these projects, and and creatives who love Star Wars, then I think it's going to be good. We saw what happens when you get someone who's not Star Wars affiliated, and all they think about is box office. That's what we got. So I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole episode. But they're going in the right direction. I think so, anyway.
Alright guys, that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, let us know what you guys thought of Mando. Anything to add, Mark?
Faulty transmitter.
Faulty transmitter. Until next time, say this is the way, Mark.
This is the way, Mark.
And we have spoken.
I'm not taking it off, I can't.
It's gonna muffle the audio.
This is the way.
I know it's the way, but just for the sake of the video.
This is not the way.
We'll get to the hole. I know you got a massive hole to fill.
Oh, you're so rude. Disgusting. I have a hole right here. I have to fill every, 6 hours. You do it every 2 hours, I see. I suppose you can look at it like a George Lucas deletion of explanation, because George Lucas did a lot of that, right? Where you just accept it. So that's what I call it. It's a tribute to George Lucas.
So he was saying that they should have. It would have been cooler if they were doing Palpatine clones, and that kind of connects back to.
Yeah, but to look at it from another point of view, is that maybe they don't want to maybe they don't want to admit that movie never existed. And thank you.
Can we just do a quick thumbnail pose?
Of course.
From here.
So I reckon we do back to back.
Back to back, you can see my gut.